Lily brought her llama. We are so ready for tail wagging because now we've got a tail. This is a story I've been very excited to share for a while. It is from a book that I have called Fairy Tales of Eastern Europe. I really love this book because there's very few bad ones in here. All of them are ridiculous, and so I am highly amused. This one is called The Cottage in the Sky. There's an old man and an old woman eating peas together, and one of the peas fell under the floor. And they didn't know it, but it sprouted, and it grew until it reached the floor. And for some reason, the old man and old woman decided to break a floorboard to let it continue to grow. And then it grew until it reached the ceiling. And then they made a hole in their ceiling for their new plant. And again in the roof. And the pea just continued to grow into the sky, and it produced pods with peas in them. And so the old woman says to her husband, here's where I insert my terrible Russian accent because the story is from Byelorussia. Look, old man, our little pea has already reached great height. I can hear Dan laughing from the other room. God. God knows how far it has gone, but neither you nor I know. I wish I could find out. And the man says, well, if you want to make an attempt, do so. You are more agile than I am. Climb up, perhaps you will learn. So the old woman climbed up the pea. And to give you an idea of what it looks like, this is a beanstalk story. It's just a beanstalk story. So just imagine that in your brain. And it was pretty hard being an old lady. But once she got to the top, she found a little hut in it. And she went in and nobody was home. But this hut was not built like your house. The walls are made of pie. The stove is a pancake, and the tables are cheese, the benches are gingerbread, and there's plenty of everything, including butter, cheese curds, honey, just all the best snacks. And the old woman was very excited, and she ate whatever she liked and continued to eat until she couldn't eat anymore. And then she crawled under the stove and hid because she was afraid someone might come home and she doesn't know who lives here. And so she's like rolled up in a ball, and that looks like this. And who should come home but 3 goats who were sisters? This is very important. One of the goats had 2 eyes and 2 ears. Nothing wrong with that. Another had 3 eyes and 3 ears. And the last 4 eyes and 4 ears. So we have alien goat mutants. The goats came into the hut and they sniffed the air and got the scent of a Russian. They said amongst themselves, do I have a goat voice? There's a stranger in the hut. There's a smell like a Russians. Let us search everywhere. So they searched very thoroughly, looking in all the corners and the crannies, and they didn't find anything. And they said, well, there can't be anyone here now, but we really should guard our house because it's so tasty. And we're just going to, eat a little snack, and then 2 of us are going to go in the fields, and one of us should stay home and just kind of stand guard over our house from intruders. So they ate whatever they wanted. 1 ate honey, 1 ate cracknels, another ate gingerbread, and then 2 went in the field, and that left the goat with 2 eyes at home. Before leaving, the sister said to her, look, sister, look through both eyes, so that no harm shall befall us. And the goat said, certainly, you go. I'll stand watch. The old woman heard this conversation and wondered, how can I keep the goat from noticing I'm here? So she sang a quiet magical song. I sleep, second eye sleep, ear shut, second ear shut. And as she sang, one of the goat's eyes closed, and then the other eye, and then one ear, and then the other ear. And when the goat was asleep, she crawled out from under the stove and ate a whole bunch more and then went back under the stove. So she got her seconds. When the sisters came back from the field, they saw that the two-eyed goat was asleep, and they were pretty disappointed, and she was really hard to wake up. And when they did finally awaken her, she's like, wow, I was really fast asleep. But hey, no harm came. Everything is peaceful. And so they ate some more, and then they kind of switched up guard duty. Two went to the field, and the one to stay behind was the one with 3 eyes and 3 ears. Old woman lying under the stove, suddenly hungry again, just never-ending belly lady. And she sings, eye sleep, second eye sleep, third eye sleep, ear shut, second ear shut, third ear shut. And the goat's eyes and ears closed. Old woman ate a whole bunch more snacks. And when the goats came back, they saw their sister was asleep, and they smelled that Russian smell, that hefty Russian smell. It's probably vodka. And they said, well, it's kind of weird that we're all falling asleep here. I think we need to leave behind the one with the most eyes and ears. So the 4-eyed and eared goat is going to be the one standing guard now. And so the woman under the stove gets hungry again after the other goats left. But she lost count. And she sang, eye sleep, second eye sleep, third eye sleep, ear shut, second ear shut, third ear shut. But she forgot there's a 4th eye and a 4th ear. Math isn't hard, but it was hard for this one. So she crawled out like, I'm going to get my snack on. And the goat saw her. Really obviously, right there, and said, it's you who've come to our little cottage and eaten our gingerbread. Where have you come from? And the old woman says, oh, I do not belong up here. Out of curiosity, I have roamed from earth up to the sky. How did you manage to get here? I climbed up the green pea, which grows through our cottage. Well, said the goat, I will not do you any harm. When my sisters come home, we'll decide your fate. So the sisters came home and saw her, and they're like, it was you. And she tells the story, and they said, well, we will not do anything to you now, but you must go at once, and do not come back, ever. And they even give her a goodie bag. She promises not to come back. They give her a goodie bag full of sweet meats and gingerbread and nuts and cheese, like a little bit of everything, like buffet portions. This is so nice. I mean, if you had an intruder in your house, would you be like, hey, while you're here, how about I give you the potato chips and the ice cream and the good cake and cookies? No. So the old woman climbs down, and for some reason she says to her husband, old man. Nope, that's a goat voice. He's like, tell me where I have been. And the husband says, I don't know. She's like, I have been up to the top of the pea and climbed all the way down again. And I have seen wonderful things, eaten such delicacies. Here are all my samples. Here is my goodie bag. I'd go back, but the goats told me, please do not come back. And the old man said, oh, well, let us go up together. They will not hurt the 2 of us. I really ought to see this wonderful cottage. So the wife says, very well. And they decided to climb the pea and take all their family with them. The old man climbed. He brings a hatchet with him. The old woman came, and the granddaughter followed. I guess that's the whole family. And they climbed a long way, but it turns out maybe not multiple people should be on it at the same time. And there should have been a sign, hazard warning, because the old man suddenly coughed in the direction of the old woman, and that made her cough at the granddaughter. And then she coughed too. And so all 3 of them are coughing, and the whole beanstalk pea thing is shaking. And they fell, and they were all killed. They never reached the cottage in the sky. No one knows where they fell. They perished and left no trace. And since that time, no one has ever found the cottage in the sky again, or learned any more about it, or visited the mutant goats. So, I feel like there's a moral to be learned here. Like, quit when you're ahead. But what do I know? So, I think the goats were extraordinarily nice. Nicer than they needed to be, that's for sure. He says they should have done social distancing. I know. I kind of forgot that the coughs could be a triggering part of the story until I was reading it. And I was like, oh dear, maybe I should have changed it so they laughed at each other. That would have been amusing. So, that is my tale from Byelorussia. Let me tell you a little bit more about the backstory of this story. So it's a Jack and the Beanstalk story, but with awesome mutant goats that are incredibly nice. There's also a Cinderella variant of this type of tale, 1 eye, 2 eyes, 3 eyes, where you have characters that you ask them to close their eyes, and some of them have a larger number of eyes. And I guess that there was another version where a grandfather climbed a beanstalk and he found a cottage with walls of pancakes, benches of white bread, a stove of buttered curds, but it had 12 sister goats. And so that story would have been a lot longer, and he managed to deceive them all except for the one with 12 eyes that captured him. Because sometimes you can't count to 12 is all I can think about that. So that's my story of the cottage in the sky. I really hope you enjoyed it very much. And I promised I would keep the stories a little bit shorter from now on. So that's our show for this week. Tune in next Sunday when I will bring you another story.